This movie was so painfully hard to watch, I had to actually look up on Wikipedia on how to watch a really bad movie to review it, because there was just no way I could keep my focus through this whole movie. Point Blank is a new Netflix original that stars Crossbones and the Falcon from the Avengers. I'm just going to call one of the characters Crossbones from the Avengers. I'm just going to keep calling him that. You know the guy from the Avengers that was in Winter Soldier that was kind of like the main Hydra soldier, I guess you'd say, that was trying to get Captain America? He's in this movie, as well as Falcon. You guys all know him. This movie actually has absolutely zero character development. Basically, in this movie, Crossbones is just like a tough guy, mercenary hitman dude. Actually, it's kind of like the same character from the Avengers or Winter Soldier. Same exact character. The only real character development you get out of his character is that his father used to beat him up as a kid. Actually, that's it. That is it. That's all the character development you get from that character. We also have Falcon in the movie, and you guys all know Falcon from the Avengers. In this movie, he's just a nurse. And the way he crosses paths with Crossbones is basically, Crossbones gets shot by the police. He gets thrown to the hospital. The Falcon is a nurse at the hospital. Crossbones' brother kidnaps Falcon's wife, then uses his wife as basically like a ploy, or like you say, like a ploy to basically get the Falcon to break Crossbones out of the hospital. That's the gist of the movie. Now, it sounds kind of interesting at first, but it's not. It really, really is not, like, at all. Really, the only reason for Falcon to be in this movie is to break Crossbones out, but once that already happens, it's almost like they don't even need Falcon in the movie anymore. But considering they have him in the movie, they're like, well, we need someone to kind of like bicker along with Crossbones, so you're along for the ride. And the excuse that they give is really stupid. The excuse is that Crossbones needs medicine. He needs like morphine or whatever. And the only person that can administer morphine is the Falcon, which doesn't really make any sense because first thing, he lost a bunch of blood, so his systolic blood pressure is probably low. I was an EMT, by the way. It's not like he has like some sort of like, you know, he's poisoned or something like that and he needs like very specific medicine and all this other stuff. It doesn't even make any sense. So what happens is like after that, it ends up becoming like this serious kind of like, how do you say it, like fish out of water movie where the nurse is hanging out with like hanging out with a killer while these cops are coming after him and he's not used to the whole chase scene and stuff like that. And it's not good because usually in these kind of like either buddy cop movies or one of those fish out of water movies where, you know, two completely contrasting characters meet, they usually have good bickering back and forth. There's like good chemistry between the characters. But in this case, the characters don't even make any sense together. They're not compatible even as characters to work off each other. The actors in this movie don't even have good chemistry with each other at all. Like, it's really bad. It almost feels like, you know, like two NPCs in a video game? You know, like after you talk to them for a certain amount, they just say the same dialogue over and over again. That's what it actually felt like in this movie. There's a point where in this movie, the Falcon's like, oh, I need to see my wife. Like, my wife. I know she's kidnapped and everything, so she should be worried about his wife. That ends up being, like, so repetitive. And the other guy's like, shut up or I'm going to shoot you. Shut up or I'm going to hit you. It becomes that repetitive where it almost feels like they're not humans anymore and they're just, like, programs meant to say certain things at certain times. It's really bad. Other than the actors not really working together or having good chemistry at all, the fight scenes and the action points in the movie were really bad. Like, there was, for example, a chase scene where they just chased each other around a parking lot, like, at a legitimate, just a parking lot, and then down the street a little bit, which that's like, ooh, look at that. So, one of the fight scenes, they had this, like, fist fight scene in a car wash, right? With, like, noodles, like the noodles that kind of whip back and forth, and, like, the air that they shoot, and, you know, they throw the soap down and everything like that. That would make sense to have, like, a pretty interesting fight scene there. The problem is that whenever you're trying to have a good fight scene, you use the environment around you to create a interesting, I guess, a choreography for the fight, right? In this circumstance, they actually do not use, like, any of the surrounding objects at all for the fight. They just box each other in the middle of the car wash. Like, what is the point of fighting in the car wash if they're just going to have a fist fight and nothing happens around them? They're not using any of the objects around them. So it's just like a cliche fight scene where they're just like punch, 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 kick, block, punch, 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 kick, block, and then there's noodles and shit around them. It's almost like they're just, it's like they just like pasted a fight scene in like a completely different background that they thought would look cool or something like that. It's really bad. Other than all the cliche stuff, the movie's tone just shifts all over the place in this movie. It's weird. It's almost as if like the beginning of the movie, they were going for a serious tone, and as they started making the movie, they realized that the movie was so cliche that they needed to make it like a satire or like a buddy cop funny movie. And then like near the end of the movie, it goes serious, like just a cancer serious. Then the very end of the movie, it starts feeling like a buddy cop movie where everything starts being jokey and funny, and they even have like this really goofy music at the end of the movie as if they were trying to pull off like a satire of like an action movie or a buddy cop comedy or something like that. And I was sitting there going, what fucking movie are we watching right now? It was weird. I was trying to figure out what they were trying to portray in the movie. Like, what were they trying to grasp? Were they trying to... What emotional connection to these characters was I trying to get? Was it an action movie? Because the action was bad. Was it a comedy? There was no comedy in it till, like, the very, very end of the movie. Was it a serious drama? I didn't feel any emotions because I didn't have any connection to these characters. So, the movie was all over the place. The tone was off. The characters had no... They just didn't work well together. I am very confused about what they were trying to go for in this movie. And I'm sure, like, the director and the writers were either, like, fighting with each other during this movie when they were making it, because it feels like 3 or 4 different movies. It's weird. The movie's tone shifts way too much in this movie. Like, at first it's a drama, but the problem is that in a drama you have to feel some sort of connection to the characters, and I didn't. Was it a buddy cop comedy movie? Well, if that was the case, I didn't really laugh in it, and most of the movie was stone cold serious until the very end. Was it a satire of an action movie? I didn't feel like they were trying to go for like any like tongue-in-cheek, like, you know, little nudges to action movies. So to be honest with you, this movie never really hit any good notes at all, like down the genre line. So I'm not sure what they were trying to go for. So in the end, when I was watching this movie, I had no idea really what was going on. Like, I knew like the premise of what the storyline was about, but I didn't know what feelings I was supposed to get out of this movie. And it just came off as one of the most cliche action movies I've ever seen. There was nothing very interesting at all in this movie. There was nothing that I can really remember about it. So, to be honest with you guys, there's really no need to watch this movie. You're not going to get any sort of enjoyment out of it. The action's not very good. Comedy, drama, blah, 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 blah. I already went through all of it. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is give this movie a D. Now, the reason I'm giving it a D is because the acting was decent in the movie. It's just that the writing was horrible. If the acting was any lower, if they didn't have good actors in it, and they just kept it, you know, to the bare minimum, some random like person off the street trying to act, I would give it an F. But other than that, this movie gets a D, and that's the best I can do for it. That's the absolute best I can do for this movie is a D. I'm doing it out of the kindness of my heart because I like the actors in this movie. The movie came out today, and, you know, it's my job to go ahead and watch these shit movies so you guys don't have to. So definitely like, share, and subscribe if you like this review. Also click the little bell icon because supposedly YouTube doesn't give you my notifications if you don't. And until next time, you guys, see ya!